Okay, let's unpack this. We're about to step into a world that's, I mean, it's equal parts gritty, modern drama, and high-stakes supernatural fantasy.
It really is.
We're going deep today into the narrative arc of Mark Feller, the Half-Blood Alchemist.
And we're not just looking at the plot points, are we? We're looking at the texture of it,
Mm,
the visual language.
exactly.
Because this isn't just a book club chat. We're looking at this through a very specific lens.
Right. Our mission today is sort of custom tailored for the creators out there. We're talking to, the video editors, the storytellers, the people who want to take a story like this and translate it.
Into one of those cinematic storytelling videos.
Yes. The type deep narration, that 16.9 aspect ratio,
Yeah.
1080p atmospheric sound design. We're basically taking the first 5 chapters of this whole saga and breaking them down into a production Bible for you.
Which is a fascinating challenge because the source material, this whole narration series from the Storyteller channel, it's incredibly dense.
Oh, it is.
It's got that classic zero to hero progression, but it's set against this backdrop of modern cultivation, which is a whole thing, and then intricate family politics and alchemy.
It pretty much has everything a creator would need. You've got the despised outcast, the secret heritage, the glowing pills,
Yeah.
and of course the face slapping.
So much face slapping. I mean, both literal and metaphorical.
We will absolutely get to the specifics of that violence later, and the vegetables used as weapons of humiliation.
Oh, yeah, the radish.
But first, let's just set the vibe. The prompt for our creators is dark fantasy. So we want mystery, we want drama, and we want it to feel epic. So, grab your notebooks or your tablets or whatever you use to storyboard, because we are diving deep into the world of Mark Feller.
Let's start with the atmosphere then. If you're visualizing this for an audience, you have to understand the geography of power here. We've got Middle City, which sounds like your standard urban setting.
Yeah, pretty normal.
But it's totally overshadowed by places like Chilltown and the new celestial capital.
Right. So it's a hierarchy. It's vertical. And at the absolute bottom of that hierarchy, at least when we start in chapter 1, is Mark Feller.
Precisely. To understand the hero, you first have to understand the zero. And Mark is painted as the ultimate zero. This brings us to segment 1, the awakening, the origin of the alchemist.
Let's set that opening shot. Mark Feller is introduced as the useless son-in-law to the Sun family. And for anyone familiar with this genre, the whole matrilocal son-in-law trope is, well, it's a rough gig.
It's brutal.
It's not just that he married into the family, it's like he surrendered his entire dignity at the door.
He really did. He's been married to Yanima's son for, 3 years?
Yeah.
And visually, you'd need to convey that passage of time in your montage. This is not a honeymoon phase.
Not at all.
He's treated like a servant. We're talking chores, laundry, cleaning up after this family that openly despises him.
And the humiliation is the entire point, right?
Yeah.
It establishes the baseline. That's how low he is.
It does. If you're directing this, you have to think about the lighting in these early scenes. When Mark is in the Sun household, the color grading should be, really desaturated grays, washed out beiges.
High fliss.
Exactly. He should be in the background, maybe slightly out of focus or just lurking in the shadows. He's part of the furniture to them.
And then comes the divorce.
Yeah.
They just discard him. Yanima moves on to Carson Rogers, who we will get to, because, wow, what a piece of work.
He's something else.
And Mark is just out on the street.
But this is the catalyst. This is the moment the spring uncoils. Because Mark isn't actually useless. That uselessness was a facade, or maybe a dormancy.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. Because he doesn't just get mad, he gets an inheritance. But it's not money. It's not a bank account.
No, it's a mind library. And this is a critical visual sequence for any creator listening right now. Mark accesses this legacy left by his father.
Okay, so let's paint this picture for the video editors. He's alone, right? Maybe in some humble apartment or a quiet spot, and he dives into his own consciousness. How do we show that? The transition from the mundane to the internal.
The source material describes this really stark contrast between darkness and light. So you imagine a vast, void-like darkness. That's his unawakened state. It's silent, heavy,
Okay.
and then a single light pierces through. It's cinematic gold. You could have these ancient books flipping open in his mind's eye.
It's almost like the Matrix loading program, but instead of guns, it's magic, ancient knowledge.
Exactly. And it's not just random info. It's all sorted into these really specific categories. We've got cultivation techniques, alchemy, and mystic arts.
Let's break those down because these are basically the pillars of his power going forward.
Right. So cultivation is the foundation. It's how to breathe, how to gather spiritual energy. Alchemy gives him the tools to interact with the world, both economically and physically. Curing ailments, boosting power.
The practical application.
And mystic arts is the combat application. It's the weaponization of the first two.
So let's talk about that first cultivation scene.
Okay.
If I'm making a video of this, how do I show cultivation? It's internal, right? It's just a guy sitting on the floor. How do you make that exciting?
It is internal, but you have to externalize it for the audience. The source describes Mark in the lotus position doing these breathing exercises, but the key visual is the three dantians.
The energy centers.
Yes. You have the lower dantian, which is usually below the navel, the middle dantian at the solar plexus or heart, and the upper dantian, the third eye.
So visually, are we seeing, like, lights there? Or
I would suggest subtle glowing nodes. And the energy flow is described as being like water through a tube. So you want this fluid, maybe blue or gold energy, visually circulating between these 3 points.
Okay.
It shouldn't look chaotic. It should look like a circuit being completed. It's a metaphor for order returning to his life.
And then comes the internal explosion. This is such a cool detail. He's making pills, which we'll get to.
Right.
But he consumes his first batch.
And it's not some instant, effortless power-up. It's violent. The text says he feels 5 distinct explosions inside his body.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like 5 of them.
Exactly. It's refining his bones, pushing him to stage 2. For the sound design, you'd want these deep, bass-heavy thuds, like a heartbeat, but amplified to a terrifying degree.
I can hear that.
And visually, maybe sweat just evaporating off his skin or a shockwave of dust on the floor around him.
I love that. It shows that power comes at a physical cost. He's literally forging himself.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got the power. Now he needs the platform. This leads us perfectly into segment 2, the allies and the divine eye.
Enter Emily Black.
Emily Black, yeah. Even the name sounds expensive.
She is pivotal. She's from the Black family in the new celestial capital. So in that hierarchy we mentioned, she is way, way above the Sun family or anyone else in Middle City.
She's basically royalty in this setting.
Pretty much. She's the power player.
But why Mark? Why does she give this useless guy the time of day?
She sees the potential. And there's a little hint in the source material about a connection to an amulet or maybe a grandfather figure that implies Mark has this deeper lineage she recognizes.
Oh, so there's a backstory there.
There is. But the dynamic is what's interesting. She provides the social shield. She protects him from the mundane threats, the lawyers, the bullies, the social climbers. And in return, he provides the supernatural ability.
Which brings us to the banquet incident. This is the first real conflict where Mark steps out from behind the curtain.
And the setting is high stakes. A banquet is a classic arena for, social combat in these stories. Everyone is wearing masks, metaphorically speaking.
And we have Uncle Wu,
Richard Wu,
a military man.
Yeah.
Respected and arrogant as all hell. He looks at Mark and just sees a nobody. He mocks him. It's the classic setup.
But Mark has the divine vision now.
This is a crucial visual cue for you, the listener, if you're making this video. When Mark looks at Uncle Wu, the camera filter needs to change. The source describes a black smoke or gas swirling in Wu's heart. Ooh, that's creepy. It's like an X-ray, but for death.
Very. It's a visual metaphor for imminent death, a heart attack just waiting to happen. Mark sees this swirling darkness that nobody else can see.
How would you show that?
It should look organic, I think. Maybe like ink dropping into water, swirling around the organ itself. Really sinister.
And he tries to warn him. He's actually being nice, right? He just says, you need a checkup.
And Wu takes it as a huge insult. I'm fit. I'm a soldier. It highlights the theme of the whole series. Arrogance blinds you to reality. Mark sees the reality. Wu only sees his own ego.
Speaking of ego, let's talk about the slap. This is the drama I signed up for.
Right.
Yanima and her new fiancé, Carson Rogers, they show up to the banquet.
And they are feeling good about themselves. They think they've traded up. They see Mark with Emily Black, and they just assume he's, clinging to her, a parasite.
So Yanima insults them. She insults Emily Black.
Which is basically social suicide in this circle. And Emily Black does not hesitate. She slaps Yanima.
A crisp, high-definition slap. We need good Foley for that one.
But the twist is what happens next. Carson Rogers, the fiancé who's supposed to defend her, he realizes who Emily Black is. He realizes the terrifying power of the Black family. So instead of defending Yanima,
he slaps her too.
He slaps her too. To appease Emily, he's yelling, "How dare you insult Miss Black?"
That is just brutal. It's so dark.
It creates this really complex power dynamic. It shows Yanima that she hasn't married up to safety. She's just traded one form of dependency for another, and this new one is much more volatile.
And it also establishes that Mark, just by standing next to Emily, is now untouchable by normal standards.
Exactly. It completely flips the useless son-in-law script in a single scene.
So we've established Mark's social protection. Now let's look at his craft. Segment 3. The art of alchemy creation and conflict.
This is where the fantasy elements really start to blend with the modern setting in a cool way. Mark isn't in some wizard's tower. He's doing kitchen alchemy.
I love this detail. He's going to the dollar store, literally a supermarket, to buy herbs and common household items.
It grounds the magic. He's using a rice cooker or a soup pot to brew these legendary elixirs. It's almost, distinctively disrespectful to the ancient traditions, but it works because he understands the essence, not just the ritual.
So what's he making? What are the products?
2 key items in these early chapters. First, the soul nourishment pill. This is for his grandpa's son, who was the only person in that family who ever treated him with any kindness.
So he's acknowledging the good amidst the bad. It shows Mark still has a heart.
He does. And the second pill is the beauty pill. The source describes it as a red tablet.
Visual check for the creators. A glowing red tablet.
Right. And it's in a humble wooden box. That contrast is so important. The box is cheap. The content is priceless.
And that contrast sets up the ginseng versus radish showdown. This is probably my favorite scene in the first 5 chapters. It's the comedic peak.
It really is. So we have a new antagonist, Sean Thompson. He's from Chilltown, so he outranks all the locals. He's wealthy, he's arrogant, and he wants to impress Emily.
So he brings a gift. 100-year-old ginseng.
Which implies immense value and vitality, right? And he's mocking Mark's little wooden box.
He look at this cheap trash, basically.
Pretty much. But Mark, with his alchemical knowledge, takes one look at Sean's ginseng and just calls him out on it. That's a white radish.
A radish, like a salad ingredient.
A common grocery store radish. Sean has either been scammed or he's trying to scam Emily. Mark points out the roots, the texture. He just dismantles the lie with facts.
And the best part is, Emily doesn't even question Mark. She trusts him implicitly. She just has someone throw the expensive box in the trash.
It signifies that Sean's wealth is trash compared to Mark's authentic skill. For a video creator, you've got to focus on the close-ups here. The texture of the ginseng looking suspiciously like a veggie, Sean's sweating face, and then the casual toss of the box into the bin.
The sound of that box hitting the bottom of the trash can should be the punctuation mark on that whole scene.
Exactly.
So satisfying. But Sean isn't going to take that lying down. He's a Thompson. This leads us to segment 4, martial arts and public domination.
Sean invites Mark to a party at the Riverside restaurant.
A party. It's a trap. We all know it's a trap.
Obviously. But Mark goes. Now, the atmosphere changes here. The Riverside setting, the source mentions, has strong spiritual energy.
Unlike the city center. Why is that important?
Because while everyone else is drinking and scheming, Mark is he's powering up. He's multitasking.
He's absorbing the energy of the river while they're all posturing.
Yes. But the humiliation attempt begins first. Yanima, again, trying to rewrite history. She announces publicly that Mark was a spineless husband who let her sleep with other men.
Which is a lie. A really nasty one.
The total fabrication to ruin his reputation. But look at Mark's reaction, or, his lack of reaction. Stoic silence.
He closes his eyes.
He's meditating. He's literally ignoring them to refine his cultivation base. The contrast between the noise of the antagonists, the screaming, the lying, and the disciplined silence of Mark is what makes him so cool. It's the calm before the storm.
Until the physical confrontation starts. The handshake.
Classic power move. Sean tries to crush Mark's hand during a handshake.
And Mark just reverses it.
He nearly breaks Sean's hand with 0 effort. Then the brawl breaks out. Sean orders his bodyguard, the white-haired man, Neil Fleming, to attack.
This fight needs to be cinematic. This isn't just a bar brawl. This is proper martial arts.
It is. Mark is calm but brutal. We need to see impact frames here. He punches Sean, and Sean goes flying over tables.
Wires. We need wire foo for that shot.
Definitely. But then the precision. He breaks the white-haired man's arms, both of them, right and left.
Snap, snap.
Cold.
And the finisher on Sean. Mark steps on Sean's arm, breaking it, and then slaps him so hard his teeth fall out.
That's the face-slapping trope taken literally. Very literally.
It is. But visually, don't just show the violence. Show the shockwaves. Show the invisible pressure Mark exerts. The air should ripple around his strikes. It should feel heavy and powerful. It sounds incredibly intense. So Mark has now physically dominated the local threat. But the story isn't just about punching, is it? It's about strategy. Segment 5. Strategic shifts. The Lopez Alliance and the Turncoat.
Mark knows he can't just punch his way to the top. He needs allies. So he approaches the Lopez family.
Felix and Gregory Lopez, the richest family in Middle City, but they get bullied by the Thompsons from Chilltown.
And Mark offers them the formula for the soul nourishment pill.
That's a billion-dollar industry he's just handing over.
Exactly. And it gets validated by Dr. Frederick Yang and even the mayor. This is important. It's institutional validation. It proves Mark isn't some con artist, and it totally humiliates Freddie Thompson, Sean's dad, who tries to stop the launch.
But the most interesting alliance comes from the battlefield. Neil Fleming, the white-haired bodyguard.
This is a redemption arc in miniature. Freddie Thompson, the terrible father, blames Neil for Sean getting beat up. He's completely irrational. He orders Neil's execution right there in front of Mark.
That is cold. You failed, so you die.
He orders a stabbing, but Mark intervenes.
The coin throw. This is such a great moment.
It is. Mark flicks a coin. We need a slow-motion shot of this coin spinning through the air, hitting the knife, and knocking it out of the assassin's hand. It shows precision and overwhelming force control. It's a total John Wick moment.
And then he heals Neil.
He gives him a bone marrow pill, a yellow pill this time.
So we have red for beauty, yellow for healing. The color coding is important.
And visually, Neil's broken arms heal instantly. He lifts them up, amazed. It's a straight-up miracle. And in that moment, Neil defects. He swears loyalty to Mark.
So Mark gains a loyal enforcer, and he reveals his new power level.
Refining stage 3. He advanced during the fight at the restaurant.
That is the ultimate flex. Oh, by the way, I leveled up while I was beating you all up.
It really is. It terrifies Neil because he realizes he never, ever stood a chance.
So we've covered the narrative arc. Now let's get into segment 6, the visual and cinematic elements. If I am sitting down to edit this video, what are my core aesthetic pillars?
Let's synthesize it all. First, lighting and color. You want a high contrast look. Use dark, desaturated tones for the enemies, the Thompson and Son families. Their world is cold, it's metallic, it's superficial.
And for Mark?
Warmth and energy, glowing effects. When the pills appear, they should be their own light source. The red tablet, the yellow pill, they should illuminate the faces of the people holding them. And that internal energy we talked about should be blue or gold flows.
What about character design? How should they look?
Keep Mark unassuming, plain clothes. You know, a t-shirt, jeans. He shouldn't look like a superhero yet. But his eyes, you have to focus on the eyes. When he uses that divine vision, give them a subtle shimmer or a change in pupil shape. Maybe a golden ring appears in his iris.
And the villains.
Sean and Freddie need to look expensive but tacky. Italian suits, flashy watches, the Lamborghini. It's visual shorthand for money without taste. They should look like they're trying way too hard.
Emily.
Elegant authority. She shouldn't just look rich. She should look dangerous, always surrounded by bodyguards, always perfect posture. She commands the room without even speaking.
Okay. And special effects.
We mentioned the black smoke in Uncle Wu's heart. That needs to look like ink in water swirling, organic, malignant. And for the combat, use impact frames.
What are those?
It's where the screen flashes negative or black and white for just a split second on a heavy hit. It really sells the power of the cultivation arts.
I love that. It gives it that anime impact feel, but in a, live action or 3D style.
Exactly. It bridges that gap between the mundane setting and the supernatural action.
Okay, let's wrap this up with the outro. We have gone from a divorced loser to a stage 3 cultivator who controls the local economy and breaks arms like twigs.
It's a dense 5 chapters, but the core message is pretty clear. Hidden strength. It's all about discipline over arrogance. Everyone underestimates Mark because he doesn't shout about his power. He waits, he prepares, and then he acts decisively.
So here's a final provocative thought for our listeners. Something for you to chew on as you start your render.
We know Emily Black supports Mark, but there's a really interesting detail in the source material. Emily has secretly assigned bodyguards to protect Mark without him knowing.
Oh, he's going to hate that.
He values his independence above all else. How will this fiercely independent Mark react when he finds out he's being babysat? And with the Thompsons humiliated, Chilltown is definitely going to retaliate. But what about the new celestial capital? Who is watching from the shadows up there?
The map is getting bigger, and the enemies are getting stronger.
The journey has only begun.
That's the tagline right there. The journey has only begun. Use that for your fade-out text.
Horrific.
All right, creators, You have the story, you have the visuals, you have the vibe. Go make something cinematic. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Happy creating!